This is podcast by Global Signals of Andrew Drummond. Deep dives and insights about retail and FMCG. Welcome to this deep dive, where usually when you think of shrinkflation, you probably picture like a bag of potato chips with a little extra air.
Right, just a bit more empty space.
Yeah, annoying, sure, but I mean, the chip still tastes like a chip. Our mission today is unpacking what happens when shrinking a product doesn't just annoy you, but actually breaks the fundamental physics of how it works.
Which is a complete disaster for the consumer.
It really is. So we're looking specifically at the Betty Crocker 13.2 5-ounce cake mix case, where shrinking a simple cardboard box completely destroyed the basic chemistry of home baking.
Okay, let's unpack this.
Right. So to understand the business fallout here, we really have to start with the physical failure. For decades, the standard weight for a box of cake mix was 18.25 ounces.
The classic size everyone used. Exactly. But over the years, food manufacturers shaved that down to 16.5, then 15.25, and finally resting at just 13.25 ounces. That is a total weight reduction of nearly 28%.
Wait, if they cut the dry mix by more than a quarter, wouldn't they just tell you to use fewer eggs or, less oil on the back of the box?
You would think so, yeah.
Because the legacy recipe, 3 eggs and a half cup of oil, stayed exactly the same. How does that even work?
Well, it doesn't, because baking is strict chemistry, right? It's not flexible cooking where you can just sort of wing it.
Oh, right.
So by keeping those same liquid requirements for a much smaller volume of dry mix, the manufacturer created a really severe formula imbalance. The batter becomes overly wet and thin.
That sounds messy.
It is. The yield drops from 24 cut cakes down to just 18 or 20. And the baked cake often turns out super dense, flat, and kind of gummy at the bottom.
Oh, wow. Gross. It sounds like inflating a tiny, weak balloon with an industrial air pump.
That is exactly what's happened.
But surely they tested this, right? Couldn't the food engineers just tweak the chemistry, just add more baking soda so it rises to the same height as the old recipe?
What's fascinating here is the exact physics of why that attempted fix totally failed.
So they did try that.
Oh, they tried. The engineers tried to force a smaller volume of batter to expand higher in the oven by pumping the mix full of heavy chemical leaveners, like sodium bicarbonate.
Okay, I see.
But high concentrations of those chemicals produce really rapid carbon dioxide gas early in the baking process, creating these oversized, fragile air pockets.
Because there's less actual cake to hold it up.
Exactly. Because there's less flour in that 13.2 5-ounce box.
Yeah.
There just isn't enough of a gluten and starch matrix to actually support those big air bubbles.
The structural integrity just gives out.
Right. As the cake cools, the trapped gas contracts and the entire thing collapses into a flat, heavy mass.
Yikes.
And because there are excess chemical leaveners that never fully react during the bake, it leaves this distinct, soapy, metallic chemical aftertaste.
Oh, soapy cake. That sounds awful. So you pull this flat, metallic tasting cake out of the oven. What does a home baker do when their reliable box mix suddenly fails?
Well, they don't just throw it away, they try to fix it.
Right. I mean, people actually flock to Reddit to invent manual cake mix extenders, adding a half cup of flour, sugar, and baking powder themselves just to make the commercial product function.
Which is wild. This introduces a concept called the utility floor. You see, every physical product has a utility threshold.
Okay, break that down for me.
Shrinkflation might work for a standalone snack, but when a product is an active component in a process, a size cut breaks how it functions. Forcing consumers to perform chemical repairs violates the convenience standard.
Which totally defeats the purpose for you as a buyer. You buy boxed cake mix for speed and reliability.
Exactly.
If you have to break out the measuring cups anyway, the product loses its entire reason for existing.
Yes, and once that convenience disappears, consumer behavior shifts immediately. Shoppers either defect to cheaper store-brand mixes that give them the same reduced performance but at a lower price, or they just bypass the commercial cake mix aisle entirely and bake from scratch.
So what does this all mean?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, executive teams face a strict decision framework when raw material costs rise. Stealth shrinkflation offers high margin protection in the short term, but it carries incredibly high equity risk because consumers perceive it as deceptive.
Let me pause you there. Equity risk, meaning they are literally burning the brand trust they spent decades building just to save a few pennies on flour this quarter.
That is the exact trade-off. A transparent price increase or offering dual product tiers like a basic versus a classic size are far safer strategies. They preserve the product's actual utility.
It completely alters the deal you're making with the shopper. Which makes you wonder, as food tech gets more advanced, are we heading toward a future where our groceries are engineered specifically to hide shrinkflation from our ovens?